Ex-Bethelite here, 937-789-4029. If you're calling from like Jamaica or something to that effect, I'll just have to set up Skype again because the phone calls don't come in clear. Wouldn't be able to really have a good discussion because I've listened to a message and I could barely hear the person talk on the message. So again, I'll have to set up Skype so that we can have discussions. And me personally, I don't believe that I have a big problem with Jehovah's Witnesses in particular. I don't believe that I am angry at that specific religious group. What I do believe is that I have an issue with hypocrisy, period. Hypocrisy in general. And that spans any particular religious belief. The one that I have the most experience in happens to be Jehovah's Witnesses. But I talk about any particular group. Everyone pretty much knows about what was going on with regards to the Catholic Church and pedophilia and what have you. Major hypocrisy there. From my understanding, they're doing a lot about it now, and that is a good thing. The Mormon Church, really nice people in general, really nice people. However, the ban on blacks up until 1978, the ban is no longer in effect. But where lies the hypocrisy? Well, refusing to say that banning people based off of their race is wrong, and instead deciding to try to reason around it. Well, there must have been some reason. Oh well, the black people must not have been ready yet. Oh well, other people were racist, so we had to look like we were racist, otherwise they would have been mad at us. All of that is unnecessary when you can just say that was wrong. Shouldn't have done that. We learned from that mistake, and we're correcting it, and we're moving on. When a group A either continues doing something wrong, or B refuses to say that this was wrong, you then empower other people to kind of continue that concept. So if you have people who are Mormon, devout Mormon, and you have in your religious history all kinds of negative things with regards to blacks, Brigham Young and some of the things that he said, and people other than that, outside of that, I don't know that Joseph Smith, they have anything recorded that he said in specific about that. But and then you have your church holding on to those sorts of things. Obviously, there were things negative about African Americans, otherwise they wouldn't have banned them until 1978. So you had your church holding on to those types of concepts up until that point, and then all of a sudden just letting blacks become part of your priesthood and all of that sort of thing. If you're not Mormon, you don't know a lot about that, but that's pretty major in their church. For a Jehovah's Witness, it's almost like, if blacks could not be ministerial servants or anything else. That affects you socially, because if you are not a ministerial servant or pioneer, auxiliary pioneer, something by a certain point, people have that notion something must be wrong with you. So if you have a whole race of people who cannot go into a temple and have a title that most males have in your particular church, obviously people are going to start looking at them or thinking of them as lesser because they don't have these titles that everybody else has. They can go in these temples and black people can't. So the average worshiper is going to think something must be wrong with black people. That's just common sense. So if your particular religion then moves on from that particular concept, for whatever reason, I don't know the specific reason. Some people say, well, Mormons would have lost their tax exempt status, so they had to do something. I don't know exactly the reason for it. But if you refuse to say that type of thinking is wrong, then you have people who are devout and believe that everything that their church does is right, well, they're going to hold on to some of them beliefs and think that that's okay. And that's an issue that I have because that's hypocrisy. That church knows full well that was wrong, refuses to say it's wrong because they don't want to look bad. That's about what I know about that particular religion. If I knew a lot more, I would speak about that. So it's not just a Jehovah's Witness thing. I could go in on religious groups that do a lot of shouting and yelling, and there's nothing wrong with that. Go and express yourself. However, when the main person yelling and shouting is the main person half naked dancing at the club the day before church. Church is on Sunday. If you were at the club Saturday half naked dancing and then you're at church Sunday and you're the main one yelling, hollering, and screaming and falling on the floor, something's not right there, because if the word affects you that powerfully, you probably would not have been at the club the day before. And then the next week after, you know what I mean? Leave and go and do the exact same things when you were just on the floor yelling, hollering, and screaming. People have less of an emotional response to the Bible and are able to change and make better decisions. So there's something that doesn't connect with me there. You know, when you're doing all that hollering, yelling, and screaming, and then you immediately leave and go and do the exact same thing, those are things that I will point out because I do not understand hypocrisy. If you say you're going to do something, believe in something, then go ahead and follow that particular belief. Not doing so defeats the whole purpose of you claiming that specific belief. Why are you there then? So let's go back to what I know with regards to the religion that I was raised in. So if this is one of the reasons why these things don't just go away and people just stop talking about them. I know I'm going on a different point, my point being hypocrisy, but then also I want to touch on why people just can't stop talking about this, and it kind of floods YouTube and other social media. If I was going around telling people that I was as good as Jordan in basketball, I had never lost a game in basketball. I cannot miss. I'm such a good basketball player. And then I actually get on the court and you get all these people looking because there's all this hype, and I've been saying all this stuff for so long, and I'm shooting the basketball over the backboard. I'm not even hitting glass. I'm shooting the basketball over the backboard. People are going to be floored. Isn't this the same person that been doing all this talking all this time? And now he's on the basketball court and he can't play at all. People would definitely be talking about that. for a little while. Why? Because I've been hyping myself up so much. Had I not hyped myself up so much, and people didn't think I was the next thing, best thing to Jordan, and I got on the court and I was shooting the basketball over the backboard, oh well, you just can't play. It's not a big shock. I just can't play. It's a big shock because I've been telling everybody the exact opposite for so long. I think the same holds true with Jehovah's Witnesses, because for so long they have been calling themselves the truth. Anybody that has been a part of, studied with, had relatives that were, you don't even have to be 100% in the movement to know that they call themselves the truth. If you have been calling yourself the truth for 100 years, but yet you keep getting things wrong, that's going to be a big shock to people. Why? Because you have been calling yourself the truth, meaning you teach the truth for a really long time now. Not only that, you've been saying for the most part that you're the only ones teaching the truth. So, if you teach something that is not the truth, it's false, we can touch on a few things with regards to the generation of 1914 and then changing it to overlapping generations. Here's the problem. The concept of the light gets brighter and the concept of you are the truth, the two don't mix. You need to have either one or the other. Either the light gets brighter, meaning you're teaching things that aren't right, and then as you learn more, you try to correct them, or you hold on to we're the truth, meaning you're teaching the truth for the extended time that you call yourself the truth. It's one or the other. Either this light is still getting brighter and you're still figuring it out, which is okay. Just say that. Or you're the truth and everything you teach is the truth. So if you hold the stance that you are the truth and everything you teach is the truth, well, when you teach things that are wrong, it's shocking and people are going to talk about it for a long time. That's your fault. Don't tell people that you're the truth then. I mean, that's a lofty statement to make. Man, I am the best basketball player there is. Nobody is as good as me. Then I shoot the ball clear over the backboard. People are going to talk about it. So, when you not only call yourself the truth, but hold the belief that you are the only group of people that actually apply everything that the Bible says. That you have other religious groups, but you're the only ones that apply exactly what the Bible says. And if you talk to people who are out knocking on the doors or out standing next to carts with magazines, and you get into a discussion about religion, ultimately the discussion may point out with, well, Jehovah's Witnesses are the only ones that do this, that, and the third. So that is a belief. If you hold to that belief, then follow it. And there isn't an issue. The minute that you not just make a mistake, but do something that is unheard of, and the entire, as far as I know, history of Christianity. Once you start doing things like that, then that is the biggest hypocrite. You become the biggest hypocrite in all of Christianity then. Let's get to what I'm talking about. I'm not talking just about the pedophilia and the cases in Australia, about the thousands of pedophiles that went unreported. Because other groups have had the same issue or very similar issue. We can get the numbers out and figure out which one was the worst, but other groups have had the same issue. I don't know of a group. 937-789-4029. Find me a group that has religious orders that they have completely just put out on the street. A religious order or a dedicated religious group or people who work 24/7 for that particular religion and at the same time is dependent on that particular religion to sustain that work. So for the Catholic Church, that will probably be your priests, your nuns, your monks, people like that. For your Baptist church, depending on the church, some of that might be your pastors, people like that. For your Mormon church, it's probably they have people that they call apostles, and they're if Monston is, or I can't, if I'm pronouncing this, they're prophet. They have people in position that are reliant on that church and in turn work 24/7 for that particular religious group. I don't know of any group, I'm just completely unaware of any group who on a large scale just put out all these people other than Jehovah's Witnesses. If I'm wrong, there's nothing stopping you from getting on and posting down below or texting me so I can look up the information. Then I can make another video and say, wow, here are some other groups that have done the exact same thing that Jehovah's Witnesses have done, and it's not that it makes it okay, but at least they're not the only ones. Therefore, the worst ones with regards to that particular activity. So post down below, because I've spoken to priests. I don't know of any that are just 500 priests just got put out. Church can't afford them, so they just put them out. Just hit the door, and I hope you got family or something. I have never heard of that. The Orthodox Church, I haven't heard of that. A big Baptist denomination, I haven't heard of just a mass. Man, we don't have as much money as we thought we were going to have. We're going to have to downsize. Y'all gotta go now. Wherever y'all end up, y'all just end up. God will fix it, So you hit the door and just God will find you a job and all kinds of craziness or something like that. As far as I know, Jehovah's Witnesses are the only ones that are doing that. I've been in New York. I have stood there and I have talked to former Bethelites that dedicated their entire life. It's not a small thing. They dedicated their entire life, and in exchange, their organization put them out. So they're 40 plus years of age and have no savings in the bank because they had been a dedicated servant for that particular religion and wasn't asking for any money. And they don't have any kids because you're a Bethelite. You can't have kids to kind of support you. Not that a church would want to put that burden on people's children because that particular church was not taking care of their responsibility. But the Bethelite doesn't have kids. They weren't able to have kids, and now they're older. That's a dangerous thing to do. And the concept that, God will just fix it is a cop-out, because if that were the case, it never would have happened in the beginning. Because God would have directly intervened, and they would not have had to get rid of however many of their dedicated members. Once you have done something like that, you've been telling people for 100 years, probably more, that you are the truth, that you apply Bible principles where others don't, and then you turn around and do something unheard of in Christianity, you would probably have to go back to the Knights Templar, and I wasn't around then to know what exactly happened to find a giant religious order where that particular church just turned on that order, or whatever the case, whatever happened. We weren't there. I don't know. But that's been a long time since something like that, I guess, from my knowledge, has happened. I mean, have fun with this one. Go outside of Christianity. Find Muslim groups that have dedicated members, or groups that are Hindu that have dedicated members, and they just that particular religion just got rid of all of them, or got rid of a lot of them. And when I mean got rid of, I mean told them to leave and has no clue where they are at that point. Didn't look into their well-being or anything. You can't. That's hypocrisy. You can't say we're the truth. We claim this title, Jehovah's Witnesses. We're the only ones doing what we're supposed to do, and then turn around and do something that is on a scale that is worse than anybody else. That is the reason why, that's one of the reasons why it doesn't just go away. People won't just stop talking about it, because you still are holding to that mindset. It's the same as if I was that basketball player shooting the basketball over the backboard. If I'm shooting it over the backboard, but I'm still going on and saying I'm the best basketball, no one else plays basketball as good as me, and I'm shooting the ball over the backboard unlike anybody else on the court. Nobody on the court shot it over the backboard. They may have missed, but they ain't missed that bad. People are not going to stop pointing and laughing if I don't stop doing this until I figure out how to play the game of basketball, to follow through with what I'm saying. Otherwise, other people who are seeing me do the exact opposite of what I'm saying aren't going to stop talking about it, because it's never going to not be an issue. I think that is, from my vantage point, one of the main issues with this is not only did the Jehovah's Witnesses, and when I say that, I don't mean individual members, I mean organization, do that to their own dedicated followers. You don't get any more dedicated than Bethelites. So if they'd have done it to Bethelites, they'd have done it to Pioneers, they'd have done it to Auxiliary, they'd have just got rid of whoever. And who cares where they end up, type of a thing. Jehovah will take care of them because we can't take care of our responsibility. So God will have to step in, come down from heaven and take care of our responsibility because we can't. Yeah. Hit me up if there is any global religious group that has done anything like that. And once you do that, just say we made a mistake, we failed, or we were wrong. Don't say we reassigned them if you didn't give a person an assignment other than hitting the door. I guess you could call, hit the door an assignment. Not really, but don't call it an assignment. If basically all you did was have layoffs where a company tells people they got to leave, and then at that point the company no longer has anything to do with that person's well-being or welfare whatsoever, doesn't care about it at all. If that's what happened, then call it that. Don't call it reassigning. This is hypocrisy, and I don't understand it with regards to any religious group, not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but it becomes a big topic with Jehovah's Witnesses because they're the ones that I know of that are going around saying that they're better than anybody, but then in action are worse, as far as I know of, because I don't see a bunch of, I mentioned Catholics because they're a really large group, and we all know about them. So I don't see a bunch of Catholics that have an issue because they hadn't been to church in a while for whatever reason, and all the people that they grew up with just walk past them without speaking with their heads up in the air. Their particular priest or whoever is in charge has not said that they are not to be spoken to, has not said that they're excommunicated, hadn't said anything, but the people just shun them just of their own choice, just because that's just what they do. I don't know too many groups that do that. Amish people shun, but I don't know if they just automatically start shunning people before the church even tells them to shun them. It's happened to me. People that I hadn't spoken to in years. So they obviously don't know what's going on unless they're just asking around to try to find some information. I don't know what they're doing. They hadn't spoken to me. They don't know what's been going on. They just know they hadn't seen me in a while. So the noses go up in the air and they walk right past and don't speak, or whatever the case may be. I don't know of a lot of groups that do that other than the JW. So if you're run around saying that you're Christian, then be that. But if you're walking around with your nose in the air that you're better than other religious groups, and heck, you're better than your own members if they don't show up to meetings in a while, that's not Christian. That's not loving. So that in using pure logic, if it's not loving, is generally not a Christian thing. Got a lot to talk about with regards to those things, but that's it for now. This is ex-Bethelite signing out.